Let's close out the 40s by talking about one of one of the more weird movies I'm going to be covering this month. I Walked with a Zombie, produced by Val Lewton. It tells the story of a nurse who is hired on to take care of the wife of a sugar plantation owner in the Caribbean. All starts out pretty well until she realizes that the locals are not exactly on this planet. They're physically on the planet, but mentally they're elsewhere. Come to find out, the Caribbean is home to voodoo rituals, and the sugar plantation owner maybe or maybe not poisoning the locals and drugging them up to make them look like zombies. Like I mentioned, this movie was produced by Val Lewton, one of the big horror producers of the era, other than, say, Carl Laemmle Jr. He started out as a writer and an author. He basically wrote books at first before getting into screenplays. He was an uncredited screenwriter for Gone with the Wind. Yes, that one. He eventually was hired on by RKO Radio Pictures to start up their horror division. He was paid $250 a week. And I'm not really good with math. I'm not sure if that's expensive or not, but it sounds expensive for the early to mid 40s. But he was given some very strict guidelines by RKO when running this division. He was under a 3-rule guideline from RKO. Every film had to be at or under $150,000 in budget. Every movie had to be at or under 75 minutes. And RKO pitched him the titles, and he had to make a movie based off of those titles alone. You heard that right. Basically, RKO could pitch him whatever they wanted for a title, and it was up to Val Lewton to make it work. That would never happen today. That would be like if Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios was pitching the titles to Jon Favreau or the Russo brothers or Ava DuVernay or whoever was directing the next MCU movie. He'd just give them the most weirdest title, and they couldn't do anything about it. It would be up to them to make a worthwhile movie. So that would never fly today, but that was just how it worked. That was the agreement. This model did yield some success, though. Cat People has received a lot of acclaim since it's released, and so Val Lewton has gone down as one of the more important horror producers of all time. Going into I Walked with a Zombie, not gonna lie, I went into it just because of the title. I thought it was intriguing. It's not the best, but it definitely has some intriguing moments. There's a whole bunch of discussion about sequels in horror and remakes in horror and legacy sequels and how viable they are or not. I wouldn't mind seeing a modern interpretation of I Walked with a Zombie, especially in like today's world. That would be like Neon or A24 just pouncing all over it. It's a movie about a rich sugar plantation owner poisoning the locals with drugs and making them look like zombies. I mean, you could do a lot with that. This is yet another movie that relies on atmosphere and really implications of what's going on. There are several shots of where you see locals and they're just completely out of it. And you're just sitting there like, yeah, these people are in a bad way. Someone needs to help them. It felt a lot like Island of Lost Souls, where you have a very charismatic individual basically controlling all the locals because he feels like he feels like he's God. He's got the whole God complex going on. So I wouldn't say that this movie is necessarily scary. I would call it intriguing. Though this movie does deserve a modern remake. I would be open to seeing that.